Just another day making another God of War video. Oh my god, Corey Barlock just subscribed to my channel. Corey, dude, if you're watching this, thank you so much for the sub. You are my hero. During the documentary, you said that putting on the hoodie was just for you. But dude, when I saw your face during that E3 reveal, I was like, that's Corey Barlock. That's the creator of one of the best action-adventure games in the history of ever. Honestly, I hope you like my content. And if you want to send the God of War 5 demo, we'll just worship you straight up. Or straight down. And for my other subs, I guess I love you too. I'm kidding, I freaking love you guys. Anyways, this is a video that I've been dying to do for such a long time. People are always asking who would win in a fight, Goku or Superman. I say throw Kratos into the mix to see just what happens. And Thanos. And Deadpool. It's not just his sheer strength that gives Kratos that reputation. He has also wielded many magical attacks that have helped him take down all manner of gods. I've taken into consideration all magic attacks since God of War 1 up until God of War 4 to see which of them have stood the test of time. And while I have you here, let me ask you something. What does Kratos do with all his magic attacks? Does he eventually lose them? Does he store them away for later use like the Blades of Chaos? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. But without further ado, here are the most powerful magic attacks in the God of War series. It's only befitting to start the list of the most powerful magic attacks with an item that has the power of the sun, but in reality it's just an overpowered flashlight. Yes, using it to make your way through the darkened areas and finding secret doors helped slow down the game when it became too frantic. But it is also undeniable that out of all the items in God of War 3, the Head of Helios is the most powerful one. It can be used repeatedly to attack a single enemy without draining too much power, or it can be used to attack a larger group of enemies by charging it up. I couldn't go without mentioning its two biggest accomplishments, temporarily blinding the mighty CRONOS and stopping Kratos on his tracks. Yeah, the guy who didn't even flinch when a rotten minotaur stood inches away from him had to cover his face from its intense power. Sure, Helios had one of the most undignified deaths for a god of this universe, but he did so to give us one of the most lit magic attacks. Get it? Lit?
Someone's just kind of like, hey, I'm here. I'm like your OP, like, freezer. Yeah.
OP freezer?
Lady, have you ever heard of the Horn of Boreas? This is the original OP freezer. It's one of the most difficult magic attacks to obtain in the series, as Kratos has to shield himself from the cold it releases in order to get close enough. The magic attack doesn't really evolve in the things you can do with it. At first it pushes enemies away, and with following level ups, it freezes them in place for you to dispose of them however you like. It's a simple concept that took Santa Monica a long time to nail down, as they gave Medusa's head a few tries before dropping it completely. The Horn of Boreas is much more effective at attacking a larger group of enemies, and it's not really effective at inflicting damage as it is about keeping them in place. But that's just what's needed in a hack and slasher game, a move that freezes enemies in place while you do to them whatever you like. Yeah, I sound like a serial killer, but hey, it's a really useful move, so yeah. Back when I played Chains of Olympus for the first time, I wasn't really thinking deeply about this story of the game. It completely flew over my head that this dude wasn't from Greek mythology, even though it looked so obviously like a genie. The Ifrit is a jinn from the elemental plane of fire found in Middle Eastern mythologies. They supposedly weigh 2,000 pounds. That's as much as yo mama. I don't know why the article gave importance to his weight, but it's funny how the Persian general looks like he weighs 2,000 pounds. All fat jokes aside, as soon as you get this magic attack, invest all of your red orbs in it. In the first few stages, he'll punch the ground, attacking a few enemies at a time, but by the end he'll finish his standard attacks with a ground smash that leaves all of the enemies burning to a crisp. It's one of the most useful stationary attacks that pushes enemies away, creating more breathing room. Who knows, with the possibility of other mythology in the series, Kratos might call upon his old genie friend and go on a Persian adventure. When it comes to sheer power, the Breath of Thamur is the rune attack to go with, but it's very similar to the Horn of Boreas, so it loses for lack of creativity. That's why for the number 7 spot, I decided to go with the Blessing of the Frost. Even though this is not the most powerful magic attack in God of War 4, it complements the game's amazing combat. As I've argued in my top 10 weapons video, the axe is the best weapon in the series, but it does lack speed. This rune helps by activating waves of frost that go ahead of every axe swing, reaching farther enemies, while simultaneously inflicting a freezing effect that slows them down. giving the player both speed and a farther attack distance. It's not glamorous, but with every playthrough of the game, 7 by the way, I always go for it because I know it will help me keep enemies at a distance, while buying me time for my cooldowns. Which brings us to our next entry. God of War has always been about showing how powerful Kratos can be. Even my intro is all about him. But there's a new player in town. We have barely seen Atreus' magical potentials, yet we still know that he will be capable of great things.
You sure I can't turn into a wolf?
Although he cannot turn into a wolf yet, he can still summon a pack of them by using magic from the light of Alfheim or pure electricity. The attack sends a pack of wolves charging in the direction of the enemies, hitting them from every angle as they run back and forth, buying the player a lot of time to strategize for his next move. I can't express how happy I was every time this move finished cooling down to use it against a Valkyrie. I could have equally picked any of Atreus' move, as they do practically the same thing, but for Loki to be using Wolf is much more symbolic than a bunch of boars running around. I know their design doesn't impact the amount of damage they inflict, but foreshadowing is something this game does really well, and we all know that he'll eventually turn into a wolf, but for now, the wolf back attack is strong enough for his first magic attack. God of War magic attacks can be divided into two columns, those which are stationary and deal a great amount of damage, like the Earthquake of Atlas, or those attacks that can be used simultaneously with the weapons you are currently using, like CRONOS Rage. It wasn't until the class of Hades came into the scene that the game allowed the player to pick a magic attack that would suit their combat approach. It had the total of 9 different souls you could pick from. You still got the traditional types of powers like the stationary one-hit Chimera or the Olympian Sentry that fought alongside Kratos. But it also came with a different set of powers that would become useful in certain circumstances, like the ability of breaking through enemy lines with the Centaur, pushing enemies away with the Siren, or my favorite, freezing enemies with the Gorgon. Okay, that one was a little too powerful even for this list. Even though these magic attacks didn't inflict that much damage, they helped give the player more approaches for combat. We take player choice in magic attacks for granted, but the class of Hades were the ones who started it all. I guess pure underworld boredom is the secret of making great magic attacks, because Hades also created our next entry. It was really difficult to settle on a magic attack for this entry. It was either going to be the Scourge of Ernest or the Army of Hades, both having to do with the theme of death, and both having the ability to leech onto an enemy until dead. In conclusion, they are both really powerful. But at the end, the Army of Hades cannot be matched in the speed in which it kills its victims. When leveled up, this thing releases around 6 souls of dead warriors to break down any enemy they come across. It should have been named Hades Piranhas, but the ability that lands it on this high on the list is being able to go through walls. No other magic attack in the series can do this. It almost feels like a bug the developers forgot to fix. The best place to see this in action is the temple before fighting Ares. Just release Hades armies and walk around the corner. You will be met with countless red orbs as the souls killed all the enemies in the area. I'm telling you, a magic attack as powerful as this can suck the fun out of combat. No it doesn't. Well, this is a first. Something belonging to a God of War Ascension made it into the number 3 spot. It took Santa Monica a long time to realize that the only thing stronger than Kratos is another Kratos. That's where the Oath Stone of Orcos comes in. The stone has the ability of making a clone of its wielder to assist him in battle. And since Orcos is the biggest wimp in the universe, he thought Kratos could get more mileage out of it. And boy was he right. This magic attack gives Kratos 2 ways of behaving. Perfectly still like a loyal dog, or bathing in the blood of their enemies like a maniac. There's no in between. It's not really explained what this Kratos consists of. All I know is that as soon as you release this thing, it appears above enemies for aerial attacks and charges at them, giving concussions left and right. It's almost as if you had a miniature Hulk with a portal gun at your disposal. If you thought regular Kratos was crazy, this one deserves to be shot with a bolt tranquilizer. He's not really reliable in attacking enemies in an orderly fashion. What he's good at is taking the focus from you and dividing the battlefield, almost serving like a pre-Atreus. I would have loved to see the two Kratos interacting with each other in combat just like they do during puzzles, but we still have to recognize raw power when we see it. Congrats Ascension, you did something awesome. There has been a lot of electric based magic attacks in the God of War series, and I mean a lot, But at the end of the day, I had to pick Kronos Rage. There's just nothing like it. Apparently Kronos had some electrical powers, hid them for a future hero who would free the Titans from the underworld and usher the rule of the Titans once again. When it came to gameplay, it was the most useful for combat. Sure, it looks bland and simple, but this magic attack had something other electrical powers did not. Placement ability. With the others, you were always confined to the place in which they were activated, but with Kronos Rage you can place the electric orbs anywhere you like, in the air to knock down those annoying harpies, or you can span multiple attacks all over the arena for more damage. It would have been cool if it did more damage if deployed while standing on water, just like Bioshock, but still, with its final stage, the orbs would blow up, scattering enemies all over the arena. I found this magic attack especially useful against the barbarian boss, who goes around in circles avoiding Kratos' attack. The trick is to use its placing ability and planting Kronos Rage on his tracks. You'll be able to get that beautiful circle in no time. I can already read comments like, "Are you kidding me? You don't have the Blade of Olympus higher on your ranking of the weapons, but for the magic attack it gets the #1 spot?" So let me explain. The Blade of Olympus served as a weapon for a very short amount of time in God of War 2, but then it came to be a magical attack in God of War 3. If you look at the lore of the Blade of Olympus, it was never meant to be used as a traditional weapon. It served as a vessel that contained magic with the capability of destroying worlds. Just look at the two cutscenes in which it was used. In one, Zeus wipes the Titans from existence by stabbing the ground, and in the other, Zeus destroys Kratos' army with a single swipe, creating a magic wave that cuts all of his soldiers in half. Of course, this level of power does not apply well to gameplay, so for the sake of fun, it was toned down. But still, out of all the rage attacks in the series, this might take the prize for being the most powerful one, as Kratos channels his rage into the Blade of Olympus, creating a new set of spinning moves and minor energy attacks that break through piles of enemies. God of War 4 made a big deal about getting the Blades of Chaos, but in reality, when it comes to raw power, the Blade of Olympus has no equal. Ooh, I forgot to mention that Kratos placed all of his godly powers into the blade to destroy the Colossus of Rhodes, so theoretically, it could extract the power of Thor and use it to kill all of Asgard. Huh? What do you think, Corey?
Sort of pessimistic thinking that you could talk yourself out of it and just do it. Because if you don't do it, you won't do it.
Okay, that was a hard list to make. The God of War series has so many powerful attacks that need proper recognition. If this video does well, I'll probably do a part 2. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. With that said, I'm sure you'll disagree with a few picks. If that's the case, leave a comment below with all of your top 10 magic attacks. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and share it with other God of War fans. With that said, you can also watch some of my other top 10 videos or one of my theories. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
CRONOS, now bestow what is left upon you. Use it well.